Welcome everyone to Over 50 So What? I'm Carol O'Halloran and this is the show about having fun as we age. Did you know that positive people have better health and live longer than others? Well, here's an example of positivity. You may have noticed that I have white hair. Well, I prefer to call it natural platinum blonde, just like Marilyn Monroe. So hi to all those natural platinum blondes watching. Once we get to 50, it's very likely our lives have been touched by cancer with friends and family. First off, we meet Dr. Rachel Cameron, author of You've Been Diagnosed with Cancer. Now what? Please join in and have fun with us in the 5-minute fitness. Move your body sitting or standing. It seems like many of us end up single later in life. Are you over 50, single and ready to mingle? We chat to Kathy Edwards about her latest service, Group Travel for singles over 50. Two out of 5 Australians will be diagnosed with cancer before the age of 85. The good news is that 70% of these will survive to 5 years and beyond. And in some cases, the survival rate is up to 90%. Well, today we're speaking with Dr. Rachel Cameron about new cancer diagnosis and management. Welcome to the show, Rachel. It's just fantastic to have you on here today talking about this important topic.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for having me, Carol.
And how did you get into this field? Can you tell us a bit about your medical background and how you ended up with a passion for, cancer diagnosis and management?
Unfortunately, I was very sick as a child. I was in medical, hospitals and dealing with doctors a lot as a child. And I got interested in what makes us sick. So I started studying pathology at Sydney Uni and also medicine at Sydney Uni and Stanford. And I got interested in infectious diseases. So viruses often cause cancer. And unfortunately, I've had a lot of family members and friends and colleagues and other people I know who've had cancer. So I got very interested in particularly the early stages of diagnosis because that's the scariest for people and it's the hardest when people get a new diagnosis.
Rachel, can you give us an overview of where we're at in Australia? I think you mentioned to me earlier we've actually got rising cancer rates in Australia.
Unfortunately, pre-pandemic there was as many as 370 people a day with a new cancer diagnosis, and it's actually gone up. So this year, at least 507 people a day will get a new cancer diagnosis in Australia. The rates have gone up a lot, and that's related to our environment. Also during the pandemic, there was a lot of behaviour change with people being stressed. There was a lot of people drinking and smoking and doing things that increase the risk. And our environment is getting more contaminated and we're also more stressed.
Can you just give us a snapshot of the predominant forms in Australia that we're faced with?
There's two main types of cancer. So there's a blood cancer on one side and then solid tumours. So the blood cancers are things like leukemias and lymphomas that you would have heard of. And the solid tumours are anywhere in the body that's solid. So it could be your skin, could be your liver, could be breasts, testes, prostate, pancreas, anything that's a solid area in the body can actually have cancer. And cancer actually grows in the body all the time and our body normally kills it. So something happens to the body to stop it killing those cells, usually stress.
And what are the most common forms in Australia?
The ones that are probably the most common are breast cancer and prostate cancer and skin cancers and lung in Australia.
Now, a lot of these cancers can be prevented, can't they?
That's right.
So what steps should someone watching today take to minimise their risk of getting cancer in the first place?
There's some things that are outside of our control, so our genetics we can't change, but the things we can control are our environment. So there's things in our environment that can increase risk of cancer. Chemicals that we use on our body, in our body, so all the personal care products, some of them actually are known to cause cancer. Wi-Fi can cause cancer. Sunshine, smoking, all these things can cause cancer. It's important to focus on what you can control, and so you can have and your diet, what you eat, what you put on your body, in your body, and around your body could make you have more chance of getting cancer.
And fitness is an important component too.
Absolutely. Exercise is one of the best treatments for stress, and it keeps us healthy. So good exercise and healthy exercise, including things like relaxation. If you find exercises relaxing, such as swimming and walking and meditating and yoga, those things can be helpful to put into your exercise, as well as increasing your cardiovascular fitness and blood and heart rate. That can keep you healthy.
Yeah. Now, can you tell us about the risk assessment tool? Because I'm sure there'll be people watching going, oh, I wonder how I'm going with living healthily for my age, because it's age specific too.
Yes, as we get older, the chances of us getting cancer goes up, because we have more chances of mutation and damage to our system. I have on the Health Equals website, Health Equals Freedom website, a calculator that can help you look at your risk and see what's modifiable or changeable.
Well, while we're talking about, risk assessment, if you do have a family predisposition, you can also go that extra step with like your breast screens, your colonoscopies and all that.
Skin checks, yes. If you do have a genetic family history, so I've got in my family breast cancer, skin cancers, bowel cancers. I don't have to worry about prostate, which is good. But essentially those family history pieces mean I have to have skin checks every year. I get bowel screens every 3. I check my breasts every month. So if you don't know how to do a breast screen, you need to have your GP show you. So with prostate cancer, you have 2 sorts of ways of checking. So there's a blood test called a PSA, and also there's a test that has to be done by the GP for men. It's called a digital exam, and it's something that men are actually very embarrassed or reluctant to do, but it can save someone's life. One of my friends actually had a high PSA test at 42, which is very young for a man to have that, and it turned out he had very aggressive prostate cancer. But normally PSA on its own isn't enough, so there has to be that second part, the digital exam as well. Men are really great at getting things checked, and that's actually a really big problem for Australia, particularly for prostate cancer.
But the first step is getting the PSA test without having to do the digital exam.
They should do both. Men often will just do the PSA and be uncomfortable about the second part, but a good GP will encourage a man to do the second part. The earlier you get a cancer, the easier it is to treat.
So if people are sitting at home watching this today have got a family history, or they want to just maximise their chances of not attracting cancer in the first place, you've got a lot of resources on your website. Can you talk us through some of the resources you've got for people who want to know more, from the prevention side, and also the resources if they've just been newly diagnosed?
On my website, I've put together resources which are around preventions. There's things such as, increasing exercise, getting good sleep, reducing alcohol, having a good diet, all those top 10 tips I've got on my website. The risk calculator, looking at your weight, things like that are important to consider. What can you control? And I always encourage people to look at what they can control and just start bit by bit, one thing at a time. When I had some bowel polyps found over 20 years ago. That's when I started to look at my personal care products in more detail. So I am very vigilant when I buy cosmetics to have a look. Also cleaning products and things I use, such as dishwashing detergent and things like that. Have a look at what's in them. Also on the website, I have got, if people have new cancer diagnosis, there's all the state cancer councils. There's books in there. There's other resources, as well as my book that I've written. There's another resource on the website called Cancer Aid, which can be used, but not everybody likes to use apps. Some people prefer a book. So I wrote a book that's on map paper, so it can be written on to take with someone, or their family member when they're speaking to their doctor, and just put the information together in one place, because it can be a very confusing time.
Well, thank you so much for your help today and all the work you've been doing in this area of cancer, and providing all that support and trying to, you know, make it easier for people and easier to understand and navigate.
You're welcome.
Thanks for watching our TV show. Be sure to hit subscribe and then you'll never miss an episode. Jump on Facebook, join our group, get in on the fun, fitness, wellness and inspiration. I'm Carol, over 50, so what?